Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back. So, I want to show you guys a game that I played, and this game's not perfect, but it does kind of highlight a couple of ideas that I thought might be instructive. I play a lot of these bot games, a lot of these bot games, and I thought that this one, I was downloading Stellaris. I don't know if you guys play Stellaris, but I was downloading it, playing, getting ready to play with some of my buddies. And I played this while it was going. So, I want to show you guys the game. So let's get into it. So we play the Sicilian. And this is pretty much all the theory that I know. Alright, he checks me. Now, I don't want to develop my bishop here and just let him trade. Though that's not terrible for me. I don't want to do that. And the way that I've been playing it is I'll play here, takes, and I have a pawn supporting this weak square. So that's how I've been playing it. So he plays this, and I'm just developing, right? So I get my Sicilian structure. I develop a piece. He castles. I develop a piece. He plays here, and I think he's going to try to do this. And I don't want to let him push, so I play this. He goes here, and I develop a piece. Right now, this battery is nothing. You're lined up on my king, sure, but you're not really accomplishing much here because this pawn can't progress. So he plays this. Now remember, right? I'm prioritizing developing my pieces. So, all right, let's just slow down here. I get my Sicilian structure, developing move, developing move. That's a developing move, developing move, developing move. I block his progress with the pawn. That's, I guess it is technically a developing move. Developing move, not a developing move. Developing move, not a developing move. This comes with tempo on the queen. And again, if he takes here, I'm happy to take like this to support this square. So now all of a sudden you end up in this position here where all of my pieces are now developed. All right? All my pieces are developed. He's forced away and I castle. Okay? So we've got a position here where he's got two minor pieces in the game. These two guys are still at home. Oh. These guys are still at home. Your rooks are not connected, and the queen is in a terribly awkward place. So this is the reason that it's so important to try to get your pieces into the game as quick as you can. You want to try to get your pieces into the game. So he plays here. Again, not a developing move. And he's not, it's not that, this move isn't a developing move either. However, all of my minor pieces are in the game. So now I'm putting the question to this guy. Do you want this knight or not? He doesn't. And this is a mistake. Now remember, these are all developed. My queen could step out of the way at any time and get into the game. It's, all of my stuff's in the game. The rooks aren't technically connected, but I'm way more developed than this guy. So, it sounds like my dog's doing dishes in the kitchen. I don't know what that is. Anyway, I don't know what he's doing. Anyway, so what do you want to do when you have a lead in development? That dog's in there doing dishes or something. I don't know. It sounds like he's putting glasses in the cabinet. I'll have to go check that out. He's probably destroyed my house. Anyway, what do you want to do when you have a lead in development? You want to open the board up. So that's what I do. I strike in the middle here. Now, the computer doesn't love this move, but I think it's a very pretty move. I don't know, what the computer said, the rationale. It says it's I could force an isolated pawn, but I thought that I had better here. And I actually calculated this out. This looks like it loses a pawn. if you pause and you look at this, this looks like I'm losing a pawn here. But I'm not. Because tactics that come from his lack of development. And this is exactly the reason you want to open the center or open the board when you have a lead in development. So he takes. Okay? I recapture, obviously. He takes. Then I capture. He takes the free pawn, so I'm down a pawn now, right? He's won a pawn. I recapture. The rook recaptures, and now I'm down a pawn. Okay? I'm down a pawn. The problem, though, is this move. I'm pinning one rook to the other. So this is the reason that you need to get your pieces into the game. You need to try to develop as quick as you can. Because if you don't, and the board opens up, you're going to find yourself in trouble. And this is the exact kind of thing that you're looking at, right? So he's going to lose a rook. That's it. So he takes this bishop, threatening the queen. So I have to recapture, right? Now he develops. Okay, you still have another minor piece that's not in the game, but you get one of the two into the game. Okay, I drop back. And again, this isn't perfect. I wasn't playing this with Stockfish's help or anything like that. But I want to stay here because I want to defend this, and I know that this move is coming, and I want to be able to recapture here. And also, if this guy does move straight away, he loses this pawn. So I'm trying to keep pressure on his position. So he takes, and I recapture. The computer doesn't love that. I don't know why in the world I would play this. I couldn't tell you. But he plays that and makes some space on his back rank, right? He's got some breathing room now. But again, you're not developing your pieces. Okay? And I'm fully developed. Look at the position here, right? This guy's pinning the knight. The queen sucks. The bishop's not developed. Your rook's not going anywhere. And right now, by the way, I'm threatening to win a pawn. So and hit this. So it's not a great position. It's minus 3.94, so minus 4. So effectively, I'm up a rook here. Like I'm in a dominant position. And this is just because I developed the pieces. I haven't done anything special. Now, I did find that little tactic in the middle of the board. The computer didn't like it. But this is why it's so important to develop your pieces. Now, the game goes on. I take the open file. Because this guy I could see becoming weak. And I don't want the queen to take the open file and defend it. I want the queen, if the queen is going to defend it, to go here and be passive. So I play this to take the open file away from the queen. It's good to get on the open file, but that was the logic here specifically for this move when I played it. So he develops the bishop, okay? But remember, this is pinned still because this is undefended, right? So if you move, I guess you could move here technically. Okay, but then you have a fianchettoed knight, stupid. This hangs, it's not great. So there's just a lot of pressure on the position. So I play here. So this is a completely open file. I have a rook on it. This is a semi-open file, and this is a semi-open file, and my heavy pieces are on all three of these open files, open or semi-open files. So I have a heavy piece on every one of them. This is in a pin, and I'm putting a whole lot of pressure on everything that you have here, okay? So I'm just piece activity. This guy wasn't playing, whoop, slide it over, now it's playing. And this is under attack. So like I said, if you're going to play this, you either need to do this, which hangs your knight, or you need to play a rook over or your queen over and be completely passive. Okay, so whatever piece you put here, which he decides to play this, but whose piece is better here? My rook or his rook? My rook. My rook's better because I'm putting a lot of pressure on his position. So I play here. This isn't the best move. It's, again, I'm not a grandmaster. I'm kind of just trying to put pressure wherever I can put pressure. This guy's undefended, and I'm going to hit it and say, how do you defend this? He defends like that, and I take. Now the problem here is this is a discovery on the queen, and it also hits the rook. So I messed up here. I did mess up. He hits the queen, and I slide over to here. And again, the computer wanted this. I guess it accomplishes the same thing, but I wanted to slide over. I didn't even think about this, but I wanted this to slide over so that I was still defending this. Okay, so the queen is defending this. It's defending this. All right, this is still undefended, but what could hit it, right? I guess the queen or the rook could slide over maybe. I don't know. But either way, yeah, my back rank could potentially get weak. So I do see why that's better. But anyway, he takes and I recapture. He pushes the pawn. And I hit the knight first. I don't remember why I hit the knight first. But I did. Oh, because this guy was a backwards pawn. Yeah, so I pushed this, not necessarily to hit the knight, but because it was a backwards pawn and I wanted to defend it. So he goes here, and I play this. So look at the pressure that I'm putting on f2 now, right? So this is another key idea. Rooks on the 2nd or 7th ranks. So if you could double up your rooks on one of these two, that's bad news for your opponent. That's really bad news. So I've infiltrated not once, but twice, and I have the queen also looking at f2. So if I were to hit this, the queen has to move or just be lost, right? Because that's checkmate. So, which still it's going to end up in mate anyway. So you've got to defend somehow. And this is, I thought the game was over. But this is a pretty resilient attempt here. Because this guy is pinned now because my back rank is weak. Now, if this guy was here, this is game over. This lights out. It's done. But since I have a weak back rank, I can't take this. So I play this and reinforce the rook, right? Because it's attacked twice. So I put pressure here. I've defended this, right? So everything's good. And he plays this move. So he's defending the rook again. He's hitting my queen. So I take. And so if you take my queen, right, then I'll just take your queen. So then I'm going to go into an endgame, a rook versus a knight. So he takes like that. I take the queen. And then the knight takes. All right. So you've got these weak pawns here. Right, your pawn structure sucks. You've got these two weak pawns. So what do I do? What do you do here? This is kind of an instructive moment here. So I can't attack that pawn. I could attack this pawn, but maybe you go here or something, right? So how do you get a tempo in order to get an attack on these pawns? This, because the knight's pinned and it's undefended. So I'm trying to make a threat on this pawn. But before I could do that, I want to pin the knight in place, force him to use his tempo, and now I can attack that pawn. Right? So does that make sense? Right? So takes, pin, and now I attack versus the immediate over. And then he just takes, right? Because the squares that I need to attack that pawn are both hit by the knight. So we do it like that. Now he comes down. And then what way should you capture this? Do it with the knight. Or I'm sorry, the rook. You want to do it with the rook. Because I want to keep these two pawns together. I don't want to make weaknesses for myself that he could later pick off with this knight. So I take like this. Keep my pawns together. He plays this. Okay, great. And again, same idea. I'm going to pin this guy. He plays a random move, and now I hit the other pawn. So where like, I guess I could have slid over and done it like this, but then he gets to play that move, which defends it, right? Whereas if I play this, now that move don't exist anymore. So he plays that, and again, slide over, exploiting the pin, and hit that pawn. He breaks the pin, I take the pawn. He brings his knight around, I step up, pinning it. He breaks the pin, and here I thought about sacking. I thought about just, boom, do it, and then bring the king. But it's hard to attack pawns like this, right? It's hard to do this. So I'm like, okay, I'm winning because I got the two connected pass pawns on the A and B file, but I don't want to go over there immediately. So I do this, get a little bit closer, and he plays here. And here I have a couple of options. So I could defend, or I could take this. And here I thought about this for a minute, and I ended up taking. And this isn't the best idea. It's still a fine move. I'm absolutely crushing here. But the reason that I do this is because now I have a majority on this side. And I'm also going to be able to play this and hit everything over here. And if he takes, I still have an outside passed pawn over here that's going to demand your attention. And I have a majority over here. So that's the reason that I took like this. And again, I think this is instructive, right? You don't always have to defend. You could make a bigger threat. And if everything gets traded here, if he just plays down, I'm happy to win these pawns and then start marching these guys down the board. Because, you know, a rook and three pawns versus a knight and a king is just lost, right? So he plays this. And now I go ahead and defend that. There's no point in just giving it away for free. He plays here, and I hit the knight and the pawn. I fork him. He drops back, and I push. If you have a passed pawn, push the passed pawn. So now the rook is defending. It's attacking. The king is cut off because the rook, right? He takes, and here he just completely malfunctions. And then we end up here. I take this pawn. I could have just went ahead and pushed, but I want to just kill any hope that he's got of beating me, because if there's no pawns, if he has no pawns, I can't screw up and give him a checkmate. So he can't win without a pawn. And I hurry up and get back over here to the b file. And the reason is I want this guy to queen so I can do a ladder mate. If I got the rook here, he's cut off. He can never bother this pawn. He pushes. I'm going to push. Just get out of his way. He goes here. And this is kind of trivial, but in a position like this, generally you want to capture toward the center of the board. But I took away from the center, because now my king has a quicker entry into the board if I needed it. Right? So that's something you might want to stick in your pocket. Remember, you know, kind of in an end game like this, maybe you want to take this way so you can get your king out here into the board quicker. So he goes back, and from here, you know, it's pretty much over. And I'll just show you. The reason I chose this square is to cut the king off, because we're going to ladder mate him. So you cut the king off, he goes back, and we're just going to start the ladder mate, right? So the rook cuts off this, the queen cuts off this, he goes back. Now the board's even smaller. Rook and queen. He drops back. Queen comes here. So now he can never step forward. And then that's checkmate. Right? I'm sure that if you're watching this, you've seen the ladder mate. But, you know, this is your best friend. You know, until you're way up there and you're Magnus Carlsen or something, you find the wild whatever. This mate here is just, this gets it done. This gets it done. So I always like to take the opportunity to show that. But anyway, I thought that was a really instructive game. It was against a bot. It wasn't against a real opponent or anything like that. But I thought there was some key ideas and some instructive moments in that game, and I hope you guys are able to take something away from that. So if y'all like that, learned anything, like, comment, subscribe, all the things. I'll see y'all in the next video. See you guys.